Hello and welcome to this webinar on blended learning. We've talked a lot, and we mainly talk about online resources in terms of Purple Mash, but there are many ways in which you can use the resources offline. Or you could start by using the resource in class, and then the children could do offline activities afterwards. So in this session we're just going to take a quick look at some examples of that, only a few, but just some to sort of give you a little bit of an idea of how you might move forwards with that. So the first thing I'm going to start with is, for instance, Serial Mash. So if you click on the Serial Mash button, then you can see that there's diamonds, emeralds and sapphires. So this is lower key stage, key stage 1, lower key stage 2, upper key stage 2. Okay, so I'm just going to click on one of these, and I'm going to click an example of a book. Now, in this example, because it's serialized, this is the current book, so the first chapter is open here. They cannot read the second chapter. So an offline activity you could set them is, we'll read the first chapter, can you write what's going to happen in the second chapter? But in terms of using it in the class, I can click on the book itself. And you can see I've got a big book here. If I need the text bigger, I can just drag the text bigger for use in the class so that we can all see it quite easily. If I want to use it as an activity where they highlight and underline keywords, key punctuation, etc., then I can just download the text, or I could copy and paste it from here into a Word document, and they could say use the highlighter pen in Word to find the key pieces of grammar or punctuation that you're referring to. You can also, of course, change the text colour and the background colour, which will help some children possibly with reading issues in terms of dyslexia, for instance. So very easy to use Serial Mash in that way, but notice also we've got we've got an offline multiplication question. So yes, you can do it online, but you can also download the PDF with the questions as well. You've got the open-ended questions that you could ask them. Again, you could copy and paste those into a Word document and set them as an activity for them to do. You've also got some SPAG resources as well. So these PDFs, these are downloadable activities that you can give to the children. So every chapter in all the books in Purple Mash, if I just pick another one here, Serial Mash, you've got the chapters, and for each chapter you've got the resources that you can use with them. If they're PDFs, then you can download them and print them off. Obviously, if they're online activities, they're to be done online. Okay, so there's a huge amount of work that you could do offline with regards to Serial Mash. Let's take another example. I want to teach handwriting. I can click on the handwriting button here, launch the app. I could demonstrate how to form a letter, so I could write my A in there. Sorry if that's a bit wonky. I could play that and leave that on the board playing while the children copy it. If I just sort of have repeat on there, then it will just loop round and it will keep demonstrating the letter formation for them, and they could complete their own worksheets. If you wanted to create a worksheet from here, I can just click on this button at the top. I could put an A in there, or I could put a word, apple, and I could click the print button there, and here I can create a worksheet. So I might call it apple, and I could decide what sort of lines I want, whether I want medium or large text or extra large text, and I can just click print. And it will create a PDF for me that the children can then complete. Now I could put multiple words down here. I've just put one, but you could put the spellings for the week if you wanted to, and then they could repeat them in the handwriting there. If I wanted to collate children's ideas that they could then go away and work with that, I could use something like To Connect, where I can actually create a collaborative document where they can all contribute, and then they can go and follow up on the ideas that they've created. So I'm just going to open one that I've made earlier. So this is one about planning a 3D game. And you can see they've brainstormed and thought about the settings and the baddies and the points and the walls that they're going to have in their 3D game. And if you then wanted them to use this as a sort of structure for creating their own game, then you could just print from here. That will generate a PDF, which you can then print off and they can take away with them and create their game in 2DIY 3D. If I was covering something like report writing, I could go to the tools and I could choose one of the publishing templates. So I could click onto Publish Plus and I might choose a newspaper. Now this is a blank newspaper template, but if I wanted to give them some support as well, I can click on the teacher hat here for editing, and that enables me to add extra features. So I've already created a word bin. So I can choose a word bin that I've already created. So that could be a report word bin. And I could have a checklist as well, a report writer's checklist, which again, I'm just going to browse for one I've already made, my top tips for report writing. And you can see that has been added now. So there's a top tips, remember, first sentence paragraphs, past tense, and then I've got a remember when you're reporting, when, what, why, where, how, and what do you think, what happens next. So some little reminders. Now, if I want, this is fine as an online activity, but if I wanted it as an offline activity, I can just click on the big button here, and I can click print. And it says, it's got a checklist and sentence starters. Do you want those printed? I can just say yes and OK, and it will print the template, but it will also print the top tips and the what to include in it as well, so that it's got all the support needed with it. Some of you might want to use a quiz exercise. So if you click on the tools and you scroll down to quiz, you can create here all sorts of different types of activity. So you can see there's multiple choice here, there's single answer, there's labelling, there's sequencing. But if I want this not to be an online activity, I want it to be a printable, then I can just print it off. So I'm just going to open one that's already been made in to investigate, the database one. I'm just going to launch this one here. Okay, click play, click the print button. Am I sure? Yes, I am. It will create a downloadable, printable version of the quiz for me to use with the pupils. A very popular function within Purple Mash is the ability to be able to set tasks for the children to do as to-dos. Now, what you can also do is create an activity in, say, a Word document, upload it and set that as a to-do. They can then download it and complete the activity. So if you wanted to set a Word document as an activity, if you just go to your work folder here and upload the activity you've created, so here's one I've done on Egyptian gods, and you can see that's been uploaded, and then I can simply click set as a to-do, and I can just set that for the relevant class, set to do. And what the child will do is download the document, complete it and upload it back into the to-do. So just to show you what that looks like, I'm logging in as the pupil. They click on their to-dos. They can download the file from here. Open up the activity. Do some work on it. And upload it back in. And then hand it in. Leave a note and send that to the teacher in the same way as you would normally use a to-do. That can also be set as a redo as well, so that if the teacher wants the child to do some more work on it, they can set it as a redo back again. Another example you might want to use is design and make. So you might want to create your 3D design in Design and Make, but you might actually want to make it away from the computer. So again, you can click the Tools button, click Design and Make. You can start with any of these templates if you want, or you could move to, say, an object like this. So I'm going to start with this one here. I'm going to add, so I'm going to make a little spaceship here. There it is. I want to you can see I've coloured that one in, but you can see here's the net over on this side. So when we finish that, I can just print it. It will print a net. I can make that away from the computer as an activity. Just be aware as well with this program, if you do have a 3D printer, you can also export the design to a 3D printer for printing. And if you're a Minimash user, you could go to Minimash here, could open it up, and it could be that you want to use the Beetle activity. So again, you could open up the Design a Beetle activity. You've got a blank there, and then you could just print it straight from here, and the children could use that as a printable activity rather than one that they would complete online. So if we're looking at a assessment and recording work now, let's go back to the example of the Egyptian gods document that we sent them. So we sent them that, they completed it offline, they uploaded it back and sent it as a to-do. So as usual, we would find our to-dos in the data area, and you can see there's our Egyptian gods. I can show the work, and there's Aaron's work. Okay, I can mark it by opening it up in this area here if I want to, and here I can decide whether I want to give it judgments. I can set rewards, ancient civilizations, Egypt, and I could decide where Aaron is on that. If you want to record offline work like a painting or a bit of sculpture that they might have done in clay, then the sketchbook is great. If you click on the tools and click to Publish Plus, there's a sketchbook, blank sketchbook in here, and I'm going to launch that as an activity. And what the child could do here is they can add extra pages, but if they wanted to upload as a record, they could click on there from my PC. So if they've got a photo of the activity, we go, model car. So open. I can expand that if I want to and choose, and that drops it in there. Again, if it was a painting, I could upload it and I could keep my scrapbook of key pieces of work that I've done. I can even add sticky notes to it to say something about the piece of work, or to evaluate it if I want to. And I can go back at any point and add more pictures, images to this file. So what we've done here is we've had a quick look at some of the ways that you could download, print, or use some of the resources in Purple Mash for offline teaching as learning, as well as online. Online is what we tend to concentrate on, but this has been about pointing out where you can use them offline as well. Now, don't forget, before I finish, all these resources in here, there's over 1,000 resources that we've already built in this area. All of those you can customize, you can add word bins, you can add checklists, and of course you can print all those out as offline activities as well. So I looked at that. I looked at a number of apps, including in here, I looked at 2Connect. Here I looked at the handwriting app. I looked at Design and Make for 3D design and build. And we also looked at a quiz from 2Investigate, but the quiz app is down the bottom, so you could print off a quiz that's already made, or you could create your own as well. We looked at an example in Minimash where you can just print it off and run that activity offline as well. And we looked at the many, many resources there are in Serial Mash if you want to read, print off books and complete SPAG or grammar and punctuation resources to go with those activities, extended writing, etc. So don't feel this is completely tied down to having to be online all the time. If you want to use these resources offline, then there's the ability to do so. So I hope you found that useful.